can enumerate machines through ORP, or you can enumerate them through TCP scanning. That's the same thing. Then after that, there's a new notion, the port. The port in telco is called subsystem number. So when you want to attack a special services, let's say CAP, it's something like 128, CAP is used in order to provision new money or take money out of prepaid cards. You're going just to need to scan and see through M3 UA or SCCP if the subsystem is available. And then the application part services, so that's the high-level services which are each dependent on their own protocol. Maybe I'm going to skip that part. DPC scanning at the NTP level, well, basically you're just injecting SS7 into the hardware, or you're going to be able to do at the higher level, if you don't care about NTP, it's encapsulated over IP, you'll be able directly to know which number is attributed internally for this external number. One interesting thing is that there's a prefix scanning in SS7. So you can ask with one packet, I want the list of all the machines, the SS7 DPCs, which are answering for that prefix of the telephone number. And that's one packet. So you can scan very quickly big list of equipment of the internal carrier. Also, one thing that is interesting, we put in the scanners the thing that by using different kind of encapsulation, there's a mix and match between the different kind of encapsulation that some people say you can do that only if you're on SS7, but if you encapsulate it with IP, with what we call SIGTRAN and M3 UA, then you can do the same thing, but you shouldn't be able to do it. So desynchronizing the kind of thing that you're allowed to do through only SS7 and using it through SIGTRAN, even though the regular equipment don't do it, enable you to have more information and more access to the remote stack. So that's the funny thing, is that it's like lots of different historical keys that were added one to the other, and by abusing this accumulation, we can get additional information such as internal topology, or subsystem scanning, or basically knowing. Then you get an entry point which will be of one type. You need to do basically protocol discovery to know if it's M2PA, M3 UA, any kind of encapsulation, you don't care. And from there, you're already in one parameter, because that's one period. And from there, you want to do DPC scanning, which will basically do IP host scanning. When you have each of these hosts for this parameter, you want to do port scanning, knowing the services, that SSN scan, the subsystem numbers. And once you're there, you go for the application test. So here, nothing new under the sky. Basically, that's what you do when you're doing a normal test on IP, except the protocol has nothing in common, except, of course, SCTP, which rests on IP. So map, we're going to do things like, for example, changing the location of someone. We're going to see that later, and disabling, for example, all the code that goes normally to him. CAP is funny because it uses money, so when you deal with money, people get interested. Okay, little attacks on eyes up, very, very simple. Here you have a call flow where you take your phone, not mobile, but your normal phone, off hook, and you dial some digits. That sends IAM message on the network. There's a setup code and a provisioning of the sample zone, so basically on the trunk network, there's a circuit which can carry that much of voice, and then basically you get ringback that say, okay, you can talk, and then the connection. What is the attack that we can do with this? Any idea? Provisioning was the key word. These guys care about reliability. So when I'm sending one packet to reserve something, I'm sending 10,000 packets to reserve 10,000 trunks. So if I'm spoofing this IAM message, you have a network-wide denial of service to a certain location, because there will be a timer for timeout. That's the slow low-risk attack that we saw on TCP, where basically you're provisioning a lot of connections but doing nothing on them, and you can even do worse by resending packets routinely to keep these things open. And you don't need to have the other person